I did not enjoy. Hello and welcome to What's the Word? We are currently more sour than Leandrin's mouth, I guess. I don't know.
That's a thing?
I mean, it's very like, very
sour. Yeah, very.
Yeah.
Sucking lemons.
Yeah, lemon sucker. Yeah. Oh, look at that.
Wow.
So, you may have noticed, introductions. Again, I'm Amanda Sadai, Waterbill. You may have noticed in most of the episodes, we've been very positive about the show. And for the most part, we have really loved it as a newcomer and as a Wheel of Time veteran. We didn't love the first episode, but we kind of lumped that episode in. We sort of just did episodes 1 through 4. So you couldn't really see our dislike for episode 1. That being said, you may see a little different side of us in this episode because we did not enjoy episode 7. And I want to say very clearly, we're not book cloaks, okay? We're not the people who are like, they changed that minute detail, I'm outie. This episode, on every level, had some problems.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're not done. We still love the series.
A couple points where I was ready to bow. And actually, for the first time, like, I understand when you love something and you're like, oh, they're changing it. And I have a bunch of friends who are not enjoying this show at all. And that's fine. That's great. I think a lot of times the complaints are like, oh, you're being...
Surface level.
Yeah, you're being a little nitpicky. I get it. Like, I've been there. I've watched... There's a lot of my favorite entertainment properties, kind of dive bomb, get misinterpreted, that whole thing. But here, this is the first time where I was like, is there pieces that I liked about this part of the story?
Yeah.
And I was just like, where are we going with this? What are we doing?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. So we're going to just kind of go through the episode in sequential order. Starting with the closing off of the Waygate from Matt. So everybody who I had spoken to in the past week said, listen, the reason why Matt is not in episodes 7 and 8 is because literally he was canned after they shot 1 through 6. So they shot 1 through 6, then the pandemic happened, and he never came back. So if you go back and watch episode 6, the very end, you can see how they piece it together and reshot things without Matt.
Really?
So, yeah. I watched it today. So it's clear that Barney Harris is not coming back for the last episode. And if they do, it's somehow stitched together stock footage. So when they closed the Waygate on Matt, I kind of was like, okay, this is it. He's not coming back. And that's okay. I understand that. Barney Harris was amazing as Matt. They parted ways. I'm looking forward to Donald Flynn. But Matt really was a highlight for me. Well, actually, if we're starting sequentially, we're starting with the Blood Snow. So I was really excited about this scene because we get to see Tigraine, Damodred / Shail, Rand's mother, give the iconic birth on the slopes of Dragon Mountain. And I was personally really emotional, but Bill had a very different experience with that scene. Do you want to elaborate a little?
I think my issues here were echoed through the entire episode where nothing was earned here.
Okay.
And it was just like, we're going to go for the top of the shelf and we're not going to earn any of it. And it's just like, when you're writing a fight scene, when a struggle, when you're writing anything story related, you have to earn it. Mm-hmm. Anyone can create a scene where a character punches harder or summons better or, like, that means nothing to me. Mm-hmm. Okay? You have to use your head, you have to use your training, you have to use something that you've earned along the way. And if you're just going to throw me into this character, it's like, oh, she's pregnant, okay. Oh, she kicked that guy's ass. Whoa, that was... And, oh, okay, what? But she's going to kick everyone's ass and be the best fighter. Oh, it's like, okay. Without any backstory, without any context.
So what I tried to explain is that she was a Maiden of the Spear. And the Maidens of the Spear are, first of all, they're... Spoilers, obviously, for the whole series here. But the Maidens of the Spear are Rand's personal guard. Like, they are that good that they are the personal guard of the Dragon Reborn.
Okay, so let me stop right there. So, she's pregnant. She's in labor.
Yeah.
and she took out, what, 6, 7, 8 guys?
Probably.
Okay. So there's a war going on?
Yes, that was the Aiel War.
Yeah. So that was the context I was getting. How is there a war going on when there are soldiers that good? Like, in what world do you have someone who's in labor, and there's a bunch of them?
So,
and so she's in her weakest state right then and there, right? In labor. Hold on. She's in labor. Presumably, that's probably the most difficult circumstance to fight. That's what they're trying to sell.
Probably, yeah.
There's no war at that point. You're just going to mop the floor with everyone. If you're basically saying, let's take Iron Man, the Hulk, and someone else, and they'll bowl through whatever
army. A couple hundred Aiel can take on an army. Like, the Aiel are very OP, and the Maidens of the Spear are ultra OP.
So okay. So again, context is important here.
Yeah.
You can't just throw that out there.
Right. So none of the people who are watching for the first time don't know who the Aiel are and don't know their culture. Their culture is so, like, incredibly tough. Okay. They can survive.
It's tiresome. If we're talking about someone like the Northlings or whatever, the people in Game of Thrones up north or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Wildlings or whatever. Yeah, I could buy that because they established them. And so
They've
was it Ygritte? Yeah. Was their name or whatever? Yeah. I could, because they live hard lives and they right. sell that. And so if she's going to kick Jon Snow's ass, I'd be like, yes, absolutely.
Right.
Same thing here. You can't just...
Right. We need to know more about the Aiel for that to have made sense, been earned, etc. As a book fan, I was excited to see it, but I can see how a show fan could just be like, is that the F?
You already said you're pot committed. Yeah, and that was the entire, like, when Lan and Nynaeve, I don't know, I mean, you were like, oh,
he didn't see that coming.
So
they've been foreshadowing this.
And I asked her specifically, and maybe you notice this yourselves, but forget about the history of what you know of the entire series, of the thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of, like, little subtle winks or whatever, and where they wind up. Forget about that for a second. Where in the show was that set up at all? And you had said specifically, like, oh, she had that moment where... That's not your voice at all. I don't know why.
No,
I'm just frustrated.
Like,
this episode was so frustrating.
When I talk about Nynaeve and Lan, I sound like
that's the voice I use when I get very frustrated. So.
Okay, so the flirtations between Lan and Nynaeve were subtle, but it was usually the kind of thing where they'll have an exchange and then one walks away and then they're like...
Yeah, that's not even close to being... Listen, they spend so much time on the show... with the relationship of Lan and Moraine, to me, it felt like a betrayal. Where it was like, it felt like he was cheating.
You didn't catch when Moraine in this episode was like, I like her, the wisdom. Like, she was giving her permission. She was giving permission to Lan. She was like, I like her.
The context of the episode is about going to the eye of the world. And for me, the way that I was reading that was like, hey, she has the strength to go to the eye of the world and take care of business.
He was completely shocked when things started to go down with them, and I was like, I can't.
It's just so,
I can't.
Like,
well, here's my problem with it, and it's a completely different problem than his. Is you have now squandered all of the fantastic unresolved sexual tension. 8 books worth, so it's called Ust Unresolved Sexual Tension. For those of you who are not in the know, but. As a writer, Ust is a very powerful tool, having lots of little near misses and almost moments. I loved the fact that Lan and Nynaeve loved each other, but kind of couldn't figure out a way to be together. Nynaeve was like, oh no, we're going to get married. And Lan was like, I am married to the grave. I can't. And so you had pretty much 8 books of that. Mm-hmm. And then when they finally get together, you're just like, oh, it's wonderful. Sure. But now it's like they've slept together after knowing each other a few weeks. And it's like, oh, I'm so disappointed because that was one of the most satisfying relationships.
That's another thing too. It's just
in
like
the series. But she did tug the braid.
Everything, like, so, okay, elephant in the room. Like, everything's coming easily for her. Like, she's basically the Mary Sue category now.
Nynaeve?
Yeah, like, it's just like, gotta do this, and I'm gonna, gotta get my warder dude, who's, like, the most eligible dude we've seen in the show so far, and I'm gonna go do the biggest nuclear heal in the history of humankind, and I'm gonna
channel in the waves.
It's just like, oh my god, slow down, like... The unearnedness of everything in this, every relation. So the highlight, just be positive here, okay? The highlight of the episode, which I think I looked at you and I said, the show needs more of this.
Yeah.
Was after Lan and Moraine left that little meeting whatever it was. Loyal wasn't there for some reason. Or
He
as they
was
say,
reading
first of all, they
books.
said Loyal. Right? Did you catch that?
Yes,
I was like, what?
so Loyal with cheese.
That was, yeah, Loyal. That was mine. So L'Oreal, I can't do it. Loyal.
We're just gonna say
Yeah,
loyal. Okay.
Loyal wasn't there, but they're meeting in the mines or whatever. And I have some issues here. I think they could have taken this farther because I didn't really have a grounding as to where they were going with this. I didn't know that this was like a sort of Last Supper kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I wish that they had set the tone more like that. But when Lan and Moraine had left, and the four from Two Rivers.
Yeah.
4, not 5. From Two Rivers were left. The back and forth that they all had, the relationships, the weight of all that, the history, that was good stuff. It was exceptionally well acted or written or like, but it was believable, and it's been missing from the show. The show, again, unearned, it's constantly new concept, and it's amazing to me how much they've cut. But they keep introducing, like, okay, so Min,
That's
obviously,
part of my problem.
Min is very required, right?
Oh yeah.
No,
like,
I get it, but like, you know, I know why you had to introduce the birth on Dragon Mount. I know why, because we're getting into the Dragon Reborn. We gotta get into that. Even though Rand has just been like, okay, get away. We're not gonna pay attention. And so like when he has that moment of like, oh no, the truth was you summoned to the channel and you did it all along. It was you. And it's like, okay, we don't care. He's been on the sideline, not doing anything, not saying anything, just kind of being a conscientious objector or an observer.
Well,
like
what part of what bothers me. Well, I guess he resolved this at the very end. Is like if he's known for a while, like if he's known since, he burst through that door, or he's even known since Tam was having the fever dreams. And Moraine's being there being like, everyone else but the dragon is going to die. Like, he probably should have come forward way sooner than...
Yeah, did I miss something? Was there a turning point there where he was like, oh, I get it, I'm the Dragon Reborn, obviously. Like...
It's doing Kermit again.
I know, well, I told you, I guess it's my stupid voice
It's
now. I guess finally you're sleeping with Egwene again.
I think it was when he was doing the Flame in the Void, and he was, Flame in the Void, for those who are just fans of the show, is a meditation and focus technique that Tam teaches Rand to block everything out except for a flame, and the rest is a void. And that's what Rand kind of goes into when he goes into like Archer mode. But then once Rand begins to become like a channeler in earnest, he uses the flame and the void to basically keep Saidin and the madness sort of quelled. Like he can feel it outside the flame and the void, but for the most part he can do a decent job, for the most part, keeping the madness away. So I don't like the reveal. It should have been revealed at the Eye of the World when they open the chest. Like, that's how it should have been revealed. That's how not when they open the chest, but like obviously when he's fighting at the Eye of the World, it's very clear that it's him. And then there's the big reveal when they open the chest, and God, there's the dragon banner.
And I guess, some of them were willing to sacrifice. I mean, so they got in the room, and the three of them said, let's do it.
Yeah, they did say they were
no inkling as to what their motivations were, and they lost that thread so far along the way, because you got to introduce this, oh, Pat and Faden,
right.
Like, just
the only other real candidate, I believe, was Nynaeve, because she had such outrageous powers. But like Egwene, like, why would they think she's the Dragon Reborn?
Oh,
like,
I don't think that's
good reason. And Perrin, like, okay, he has some connection with wolves, and sometimes his eyes are yellow, but like, why would that make him the Dragon Reborn? I think the only other genuine candidate was Nynaeve, and she's too old.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think if you were watching this with complete fresh eyes, there's always the underdog or the unexpected or
Every
whatever.
single person who I talked to who has never read the books was like, it's Nynaeve or the Ginger. Like, that's it. Like, that is
really?
like I could go through a bunch of texts with many friends just being like, oh yeah, it's one of them.
Okay.
At no point I don't think anybody thought.
It's a bit
Nynaeve
anecdotal, but yeah.
Well, I mean, this is a little anecdotal show.
No, I get that. I'm just saying, I'm strictly talking from a writing perspective, and like, I think generally speaking, the way you set up archetypes and things like that.
Yeah.
I could definitely see people thinking Ray might be it, pure of heart or whatever. Although that wasn't true, because once again, man, that fight, like, sorry, Egwene, you're wrong. And I don't know why Rand was kind of groveling there at that apology. Yeah. It's like, no, Egwene, you did leave him. You never
You
apologized. You never rectified anything here.
You're
You didn't
lucky
really
to have
lash
his
out.
attention. Like,
It's, yeah.
I just don't like the relationship. It's not going to go anywhere. We all
Yeah.
know how the two of them end up, and it's not a happily ever after.
Yeah, it's like when they have that moment to take comfort in the ways or whatever, and it's just like, okay, yay, I get to
Snuggle my ex.
Yeah, I mean, it feels a bit like you come home from college, and like you're like, no one's around. It's the day before Thanksgiving. Let's
scrape the bottom of the
let me,
barrel.
call someone from high school.
That's terrible.
That's what it felt like.
Also, I just feel like I don't enjoy their dynamic. And I think it makes them both worse. Yeah. It makes me dislike their their relationship makes me dislike them more.
You just don't listen. They may never have chemistry, and maybe they pulled back. They shot a bunch of stuff, but they just had no time. None of the characters. That's why that scene was worked. Is because if we had established that, like Matt, Perrin, and Rand had a few scenes where they're drinking, and so that stuff worked, and they're never on screen.
Yeah, I think the most chemistry in the whole series has been Matt
Rand
and
Perrin.
I mean, Matt and Rand. I always do that. It's like
it's like Nynaeve's just constantly antagonistic.
I mean, but that is canon.
I know, I'm fine with that, but I'm just saying in terms of likability, like you're supposed to root for her when she's just so solid.
But you do, you just do. She's got a good heart. And so I love Egwene. I've always loved Egwene. Egwene has been like the character I have sort of identified with watching her journey. And Egwene.
Really?
When I first read the series, young girl who wants more, and she's always looking to the next thing. Like, oh, I want to be a wisdom. Oh, I want to be an Aes Sedai. Oh, I want to be a wise one. Oh, I'm fill in the blank. But this Egwene is just, I don't know, she's more rudderless and...
you just described rudderless.
No, but at least she wants something. I don't know what this Egwene wants. I can't tell. She's like, no, I'm not going to go to the White Tower. Like, no, you definitely do want to go to the White Tower. And are you just being nice to Rand? And the Rand being your warder thing. Ugh. I did not enjoy... So let's talk about the ways. Speaking of the elephant in the room, I think that, for me, has been the biggest letdown of the whole series. This episode was the letdown of everything, but the ways... So everybody was complaining last week of, like, you can't open a waygate with the power if you can't channel inside. And then we find out today, oh, you can channel inside. It'll just draw the matching Shin. Which I didn't like. I didn't like anything about the ways. I didn't like how you can get in and out. First of all, how did Pat and Fane get out? Pat and Fane can't channel. How did Trollocs channel?
They'll solve that. So that's a good kind of mystery. Because he's a mystery. I think that helped. Like that's one of the choices I would say makes sense. Because, it like up to this point in the books, who cares? Right? They've generated a lot of interest around this character now. I think he's probably one of the more intriguing things consistently about the show right now is the mystery that surrounds him.
There wasn't enough of him. We only saw a little bit.
But I think that's a good thing. We're wanting more.
Yeah.
It's good. Like if you're good, like they've introduced so many concepts and they linger on them, and it's like again. So I fully recognize the importance of Min, but it's just like we're in a bar suddenly, and it's like. Who are you and why are we listening to you? Why do I trust you? What's the relationship and what?
First of all, this is not where Min should have been introduced. Min was introduced basically around when they met Tom Marilyn. Min met them when they were still kind of bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and she didn't reveal incredibly graphic things about their lives. Not graphic, but like incredibly impactful things. She just didn't. She was kind of like this cool girl at some inn, kind of making friends, making fun of Rand. Right. Like she was like a cool girl who could see some things and, makes a big impression on them. Here, we're at almost the dark night of the soul of this season, and That was just a
so
bad
many
place
friends.
to introduce her.
Like, why do they even have the chieftain guy of this place? What value does
Lord
that
Agomar.
Yeah, like just that was like 5 minutes, and it's like it wasn't well acted. I like his little crow
he had
thing,
an awesome outfit.
but it's just like it wasn't well acted. It didn't reveal anything, and Moraine is like, I'm not here to offer advice, but here's my advice. Like
Yeah,
literally
she was
the
like,
next
you should lock them
next
way
sentence.
gates.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like
It's just like just cut that scene. Give me more time
Yeah.
with the characters.
Well, and that really brings me to, and I didn't finish my rant on the ways. That brings me to the reason this episode upset me so much was because I thought that everything was going to start coming together here. I thought that all of the extra stuff they added was going to pay off, and we would get more of the real, quote unquote, eye of the world. This is another turning of the wheel. Like, this is not the eye of the world I remember, and I'm disappointed by that. I think that they've had.
What does that mean? We haven't got there yet. So
No, I mean like as a book. This like
Oh,
I kept
sorry.
writing
Okay.
off all the big changes. I kept being like, "That's a big change," but I get it. That's like they're spending a lot of time on this, but I get it. They're establishing, they're doing this, and now we're at the second. We have one episode left, and I'm like, this does not
say it.
bear resemblance.
Not often you can say penultimate and be accurate.
It was the penultimate, but
Penultimate.
this was the penultimate episode of the
So
season.
word of the day.
Penultimate.
Sorry.
Is there like a second to worst?
Not yet. No, this was the worst.
Yeah. It was
No,
the
make no
worst.
mistake. This was far and away the worst.
Um,
Like, I had to message some friends to be like, you haven't liked the show, don't watch this. Like, I'll let you know how the final episode goes.
But do you understand, like, my frustration is, like, I kept...
Yeah.
They kept writing checks. Keep doing this.
No, it's fine. Just don't tap the...
They kept moving things along in a different direction, and I kept reconciling it with, it's all going to come together, and they're doing it for a reason. And now we're at the last episode, and I'm like, I don't know what to expect. Like, are there even going to be Forsaken at the Eye of the World? I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. The Blight
Look
doesn't
cool.
even look that scary, though. Like, it just looks...
Yeah, it's a little monotonous, but or repetitive, but I
Yeah.
think it was kind of cool.
It is kind of cool, I guess.
You saw a little too much of it, but
Yeah.
the skull on the tree, it's like, I don't know, yeah.
I don't know. And, like, the Machin Shin, the fact that it was
Just
just
the two
like,
of them
a
together.
brutal truth teller, like, girl,
Like, yeah,
he's
what-
going to
what-
leave you.
You know
Like,
what's going to happen.
that
You know
was-
what BS is going to happen is that, like, he's going to be there, Ren's going to be there doing his thing, and his buddies are going to come in and be like, "Whoa,
Probably.
where's Ren?"
Oh, definitely.
My God, I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, it's a good thing we journeyed so long and far together and overcame so many obstacles
We
together.
spent 10 minutes in the
Yeah,
ways.
and it's a good thing, we're closer than anyone could possibly get in 6 minutes of screen time together.
Yeah, it's like the pacing
I'm so angry.
is they know, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I know that you look for us to lighthearted fun, but this is lighthearted griping.
And again, you take liberties. Do something
Pay them
with that.
off.
Yes.
Pay them off.
And
I
don't like one of my biggest pet peeves is when stuff is unearned and the whole punching harder thing. The whole like, I'm the best warrior because the writer said so, and therefore I'm going to stab you in the heart. I'm so much better than you. Like, and that's the show. It's juvenile. It's cheap.
Well, and I mean, while we're griping, Bill has said since the beginning, and I never noticed it till today, that the music of the show, the score, drives him nuts. He hates it.
Oof,
And this was
sorry.
the first episode where I was like, "Jeez, this music is
They
not."
always find
working."
these pregnant pauses to, and it's
Like
like
vocal,
stop
yeah,
it.
like,
Let me
just have a
have a
score.
moment without you, because every time it's like, is there someone there?
Yeah. So I know that Lorne Balfe, who's the composer, Balfe,
I'll take a word for it. It's funny. Yeah.
he wrote all the songs in Old Tongue, which is awesome. Good for you. But the vocals don't work for me. And even like when the soundtrack was released and everybody's like, "Oh,
Yeah,
that's
maybe
so good."
I
was
will
like,
go and so let's jump back here for a second. You remember season 8 of X-Files? That's where it was just Scully. Doggett came in, so Mulder had been abducted by UFOs, and the entire season was about it was Scully coping with the loss,
Right.
and is doing everything she can. So for the first time, she's like, because Mulder had lived his entire life, he lost his sister, and it's just this can't let her go, constantly looking for her. Always the truth is out there, right?
Yeah.
And Scully went from skeptic to believer over the course of the show, and this was her chance. And so I never forget in the first episode, I believe, of season 8, where she's like doing the whole, I don't know, get out of the shower, wash my face in the mirror or whatever, and they have this really weird chant. It's like, do you remember do you remember the chant?
No,
it
you have
echoed
a
through.
much better memory than I
It echoed
do.
through the entire season. It really stuck with me. I thought it was really effectively done. Turns out, in the X-Files music, that chant actually was, I don't know who the singer was, but the singer sang "We Are Near." We are near, we are near.
Really?
Yeah, and it's great. It's a good piece. It's pretty haunting.
Yeah.
But after the fact, I learned after the fact that she's saying that really slow and in a weird way that you can't really understand.
Wow.
So I may appreciate it a little bit more. I think that piece stood on its own without that knowledge, and I think it's unearned and kind of gimmicky.
Yeah.
For you to, it's like, oh great, that I'm so proud of you to put that in time.
Yeah.
Is it any good?
Nice job.
You know.
I mean, that was a good effort. But yeah,
he was trying to earn it. The composer there, right? He's
was
working for it.
He was working it.
Just not working.
So yeah, this was
Sorry,
an episode.
we didn't. Sorry, you were talking about the ways.
The ways. Well, the
I
last
have
thing
some
was
things to say with warriors.
okay. I mean, obviously, like you get in a different way. You can channel in there, and the Machin Shin is just like a bitchy voice, like telling you hard truths.
But hold on, they're not even that hard. That was part, again, unearned. It was like, so you like, I jokingly said like, oh, the torment you suffered when you heard those taunts. They're like, oh, she's gonna leave you again, and it's
you
like,
really did kill your wife. Like, yeah, you did.
yeah. That's probably the most close to home,
Sure,
painful or whatever. But when they say to Rand, I guess they heard multiple voices or whatever, but when they say to Rand, oh, she's going to leave you again, it's like, oh no, not again, you just snuggled. That's just terrible.
And it's just not as terrifying. And then Nynaeve just does like another AoE spell, and it's just like,
they're just
everything about it was wrong. And
well,
what
they're
a
like,
waste with
we
Loyal.
got a day's journey, and then they're reading that thing because Perrin could see it, but they're like, how could you see that? It's like, it's right there. What are you talking about? It's like 10 feet away.
We're trying to imply he has a doggy vision.
Yeah, sure, but like they could have showed it light up or whatever, or showed it's flat, and just like it's the rush. But then they're like, oh no, the big bad's coming for us, and they're like, I guess we can just take that exit right there, which is 10 feet away.
Let's just go one day's ride away.
And
it wasn't how it was supposed to look.
Like, what did they even lose there? They never communicated how far away they were, or how far they went, or again in the mythos. It's just
and there was just like one Trolloc, and I think they were like, ah, and then just.
So the ways was always one of my favorite parts
Yes.
of the first book, and I think a big part of it was how simple it was. And I understand when you talk about a visual medium, how that's not going to work. I mean, I remember the parts that I remember, I was like, oh, I could tell that there was like nothing underneath this. They were a flat plane, and there's nothing there. Is how I remembered it. I felt like they were on a thin disc.
What it was, that's traveling. The ways was platforms with like narrow bridges, but you couldn't see to the next platform. So it's almost like you're walking across a narrow bridge and you don't know where it's going. So you're right that there was low vision. But I think you're thinking about traveling or skimming, where it's like flat and you can't see down. But the ways is like a series of like when Rand
what's traveling?
Traveling is like ripping open the pattern to step into another place.
The scene where they were traveling across the ways, the way I specifically remember it was they were on a thin plane where there was nothing. I think they specifically describe. And again, this is the nerdy stuff. Where
yeah,
I'm like, you don't change that or whatever. My point was that they explained falling into forever or whatever. That's great. But the fact that lightning was going off and it just felt like
just like rocks and lightning and so you're supposed to see the ways as so the ways were originally Ogier built and beautiful, and it's supposed to look like a decrepit piece of crap. Like it's supposed to have been like degenerated and rotted, and like you could see that it was once beautiful, kind of like Shadar Logoth. I actually want to compare those two letdowns. Like Shadar Logoth, they only spent I think 15 minutes of the total episode in Shadar Logoth. I think Shadar Logoth could have been the whole episode. Instead, they built the sets, they did all that for 15 minutes. I feel like The Ways was very similar. Like, you have this amazing set piece, and then you spend 10 minutes in it, and then spend a bunch of time just dicking around Fal Dara. Like, okay, let's go have dinner with this family. Like, I don't know. Like, just weird pacing, you guys. Like...
Yeah, and I think that weird is definitely a word, but, it's been... The pieces that they've kind of rushed along and created these little icebergs of the story, like where it's like different little sets and set pieces and interactions and that kind of stuff. They've worked on their own. Here, none of the little icebergs worked.
Right.
And so if you're going to rush things along, I'm going to go along with you as long as the individual pieces work. And I'd be like, okay, whatever with the fiction, whatever with the consistency, whatever, I'm fine with that. Take liberties. But if you wrote the checks, you got to pay it off.
Yeah.
And if now it's not happening, and on top of that, the icebergs were not working.
Yeah. And I just feel like they're wasting so many great characters and moments. Like I said, Loyal. What a waste.
Yeah.
In this episode, he's supposed to shine in the waves. He's a wealth of knowledge. He's an interesting character because he's kind of afraid and he's a little bit slow and he's a little bit skittish with the humans, and like there's just so much charm, and like I just didn't get that. And Min, it was more depressing. Like I found Min really depressing than like cool, and like, oh, I can't wait to see her again. She's fun and cool, and she gives everybody a hard time, and
can you just imagine?
She's in tight breeches. Like, that was not tight breeches. I was looking forward to tight breeches Min.
Tight breeches?
So, Min is famous in the series for having great legs because she's the only girl whose legs you can see. Because all the girls wear dresses, and when they saw Min, they're like, she's in breeches? What?
Do you remember the time I said that a lot of guys are like, this show's afraid to let women be attractive? Mm-hmm. And again, Moraine killed it last episode. She was gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
But again, this is not meant to be, insulting to any of the actors. They're pretty, but they don't. It's like they're not given the chance to really shine, where they wear kind of frocky outfits.
Yeah.
And they're.
Min was wearing a potato sack, y'all. She was wearing a potato sack. And she seemed to have tear and tattoos on her chest, which I was very confused about because Min is not.
She kind of had the shaved hair thing. It's like, oh my god.
Well, also, it was a mess. It was a freaking mess. Like, I get it. She's slim. She's boyish. She has short hair. She's got tight pants. Like I didn't see any of the Min, the like stylish, interesting. Yeah. She was wearing a potato sack and was kind of depressing.
Saw some more hot land though.
So it's funny, like in this series, they're always talking about how like ugly and craggy land is, but like you always get these little characters being like, you should have seen him when he was young, like over and over, being like, he used to, like, apparently Lan was like an animal with the ladies.
Now, when you say, I never got ugly.
Oh, like the book is flat out said, like, he was not a handsome man. He was an ugly man. He had piercing blue eyes, very sharp features. He was not, repeatedly, he is not a good-looking man. Well, but then you would meet characters who knew him in his youth being like, ooh, Lan when he was young, ooh, he used to bag all the ladies. Like, and, you know, now there's just no mystery. It's like, oh yeah, Lan's the man. Huh. And he's a king. Yeah. What's not to love? I don't know.
Nice, got it all right.
No. So yeah, Lan is still a highlight. But I'm really curious. Did you love this episode, or did you feel like this episode was a letdown? I know Rosamund Pike was hyping this episode, saying this was her very favorite, which is shocking to me because she really didn't have a whole lot going on in this episode. There wasn't a whole lot of depth
screen
to
time.
it.
Yeah, but it was kind of throwaway.
It was superficial to me. I think that the last two episodes, I think 5 and 6 were my favorite.
Yeah,
actually 4 was really good too. So mixed bag. So please leave in the comments how you're feeling. If you think we're being too harsh, let us know that as well.
I'm curious what people thought it got right. Like, are there pieces that that you feel like, hey, I'm really happy with the screen time these characters got, or that they introduced this element? I mean, the set was decent this time.
Yeah. Or are we missing something? Are you like, oh, well, they're obviously doing this to set up that, and they're obviously paying this off in that way. Like, maybe we missed something. But right now I'm feeling like, oh man, episode 8 better drop some bombs.
I'm just trying to think what that Trolloc was doing.
He was just like,
oh.
He's like, I got lost in here. I was on my way to McDonald's.
Just going to McDonald's. I was gonna say, going to McDonald's.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's what maybe that's what's in our hearts.
Please drop your favorite, like Narg at McDonald's Photoshop. That's fine.
Narg no fish sandwich.
Narg no MSG. I don't know. Narg no salt. I don't know.
Oof.
Pretty bad.
Oof.
I don't know. I'm on the spot and I'm disappointed. Don't yell at me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You're trying to wrap this thing up.
I am trying to wrap it up because I have nothing else to say.
You can totally close it out. Any other positives? Because we like to be positive.
We do
as much
like
as
to
I
be
beat up on this episode. Actually, so I had noticed, I don't know, 2 or 3 episodes ago that the directing goes in pairs. Does every 2 episodes. Yeah. And so what are we at now? So we're at 7 and 8. So it should be the same director, which gives me pause. Because this one I thought
I want to know who the director was, because I noticed that the writer was the same writer as episode 1, and I know I didn't like episode 1, so I was kind of like, ooh, at the beginning.
Really?
But also, I predicted last week that this episode may fall flat, so... Well,
penultimates are usually really good.
Yeah.
And usually they have a reputation of being better than the last episode.
Finale.
And, it's just like, I mean, again, every piece... You talk about all the failings of this, and we talk about setting up, and it's like, they're not setting up the final battle. And I think
I think the 2 of them walking into the Blight is setting up the final battle.
No, the stakes and all that, I mean, about like what... And this is why when the character's like, yeah, I guess I'll go. It's like, it's been several episodes since you've said what's at stake. I mean, having Moraine be like, you don't know how bad this guy is. And just like, okay, yeah, sure. But like, it was, months ago since we left Two Rivers. None of us have really lost anything. Like, the struggles we've had have been with a bunch of human dicks. Yeah. Like, we've dealt with the White Cloaks and like that's been the focus. When was the last time we fought anything?
Honestly, when was the last time Balzamin, like, messed around with their dreams?
I know.
Like,
I know.
They should have had pervasive nightmares.
Yeah.
Of Balzamin, and to be like, what did the Dark One say to you,
right.
In your dreams, kind of thing.
Let's workshop this right now. What if we're just sort of tweak one scene, add one scene, do something? What thing could we have done to really
give each one of them a nightmare, so that we could still be like, he's watching all of them.
And they had the mechanic for that. Right. In the ways, and they had the flashback, so they had the setup. It could have happened right there and done cutaways. Or when they all lay down to sleep that night.
Yeah.
You could have cut away and been like, here's, that would have been a great setup.
That would have been
A whole
amazing.
episode of,
Each of them having like bad.
They go and they're like, okay, we're in this place now. It feels right. And then they all lie down and like one by one, you get there. I've seen an episode like that before of something.
No, it's. I know what you're talking
Everyone's
about.
Nightmare. That
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah, that would have been amazing.
Right.
Another gripe I had was like that was the worst CG I've ever seen of the newborn baby and Tam's young face. Like,
Tam's young face was a nightmare. That was
Tam's
that
young
was
face
like
was a nightmare.
you took it. I was like, that's a Trolloc.
a Tam
Just gonna-
rock.
Ooh. I was waiting for the do the Mission Impossible thing. That was pretty good. Okay.
And like horns somehow
Yeah,
into
you
there.
didn't even have to. Just like, no, that's him. What are we talking about? Yeah, just
Yeah.
go two magnetic.
Yeah. And that baby, like, oh.
I was torn on that. I was torn on whether. No, okay, all right.
Cheer us up. Cheer us up.
Keep pulling away. We're just.
I'm pulling away because
You saw the
I
problem.
don't want to understand how, like, fully comprehend how much I dislike the episode.
Now, did I? Because you saw me being like, ugh, you were taking notes, and you're probably enjoying it, but I was like, I don't know, the whole time. So did I spoil it for you? Did I?
Your grumbling definitely put me in a bit more of a mood,
Sorry.
but no, I did not like it. Just like when I was watching episode 1, I was like, I'm going to reserve my judgment. And I'm not going to say what I'm thinking. I'm just going to watch episode 2.
That's fair, and that
Thank
paid off,
God
but-
episode 2 came out right after episode 1, because I would have been wallowing in misery for a week being like, what have they done to my babies?
Did we watch them back to back? I don't remember.
Oh yeah, we watched 1,
That's
2,
right,
and
yeah.
3.
That's right.
And like 2 and 3 were great.
I wonder how much of that was like, oh, people are going to watch this and be like, oh,
Yeah.
first episode. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You think so?
I don't know.
Maybe the ultimate episode is already up. Because they released it early. Remember, it was 7 o'clock. They're like, 7 o'clock, why is it on there? Go check. It's like
Alas.
Christmas. Christmas may come early. Can you imagine
not there.
releasing Christmas Eve finale?
That's pretty messed up. Yeah. Thank goodness it comes out technically on the 23rd.
Jeffrey. Jeff B., what are we doing here? What are we doing? You spent all this money, you're going to release final episode. What are we going to do? We're going to watch it?
We're gonna watch it on the 23rd.
What do you mean?
'Cause it comes
Oh,
out
so it
on the
doesn't...
23rd. Yeah,
okay,
we're
what's
fine.
going
We're
on
fine.
here?
Don't
Like,
worry.
like video game release dates. It's just like sometimes it's Tuesday, sometimes it's Friday, sometimes it's whatever.
It's GMT, which is like midnight Australia, which I don't even know if it's in the future or not. Or the
But
past.
so sometimes it's 8, sometimes it's 7 now. Like
Yeah, I don't know. I tried it
Midnight.
at 7. It wasn't there, and then I tried it at like 7:20. It was, so I don't know.
all right, do you agree with me? Best part of the episode, or did you have something else you liked?
I enjoy. Like I know you hated that scene, but I enjoyed the Dragon Mount scene.
What? Just seeing it.
The nostalgia, like that's the most important moment in history. Like it had emotional weight.
Sure.
Yeah.
Again, as a and that's great if you're targeting the
The book,
fans.
yeah.
The book fans. That's cool.
Well, I mean, it's
Give
also
me
a
a
good
bu-
way to
give-
grab an audience. Like what is happening here?
but,
It's a good hook.
paper, yeah.
So, remember last week when you said Swan Sanche's dad, like, just sent her off when he
Yeah.
should have, like, got
Yeah.
her halfway to Tarvalon
Yeah.
or whatever? Apparently, fans called out the fact that he sent her downriver and Tarvalon was upriver. Like,
That's what that
he
was.
sent her in the wrong direction.
That little structure.
So that was the Stone of Tyr.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah,
further
mentioned
south.
that,
But bottom line is people were
Well, how
explaining
do they
that
know what direction?
they know the maps better than I do. I don't know, but I had a good laugh.
Wait,
at that. Like,
that's come on. That's just nerd. I mean, come on. How do you know?
It's funny.
Rivers do all kinds of things. Like that's just
Just
silly.
laugh.
Ha, ha, ha.
Just laugh. Please
Yeah.
clap.
The reason we went in that direction is because that structure costs money to put in the background.
Yeah, I guess
Just
so.
like just go towards the whatever. We're over budget. You're going that direction.
So you enjoyed the characters fighting?
Yeah, it was personal. Like they're
It's
I,
personal,
again, I
but
want to
that's
see
not
that.
who they are. That's not what they're like. They're not like that.
Okay, but it doesn't mean anything to me because the show has established none of that, and they've taken so many liberties with them that you have to give me something, and to what I've seen in the show, it's kind of who they are. You know, that's the ride they've been on, and so you gotta give me something. So I understand what you mean if they feel really alien. Although I'd be curious how, aside from the bickering with Rand and
Rand's just a simp.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, what if she's what qualities do you see?
Well, the real Egwene is just so brave and open-hearted and wonderful. And the relationship with her and Rand isn't even really there in the books. Like, oh, like we were promised to each other. I guess I love him. Like that's the extent of it. That's it. And pretty much as soon as Rand starts to lay eyes on girls outside the two rivers, he's into them. And as soon as, and oddly enough, Egwene's into Rand's lady's brother. So they would end up in-laws. They're in-laws.
Weird.
I never thought about that. That is... Oh, they're more than in-laws. Well, there's some things Bill just doesn't know. I'm thinking about Gallad right now. Anyway, there are some... Rand is related to one of the people on their journey. I'm just tossing, just sprinkling that out for you. So, can we
what
finish
did you like
now?
best? No,
What did I like best? I liked...
Need to...
Like I said, I like the
pause
IL scene. I liked seeing Tigraine.
You did too. I'm sorry. Okay, so yeah, I guess waiting all that time.
But I think I only liked it because I know what Shail, like Tigraine, went through to get to that moment. Like, that was the culminating moment of her life. Like, she had this beautiful, so obviously book spoilers, like, she had this beautiful life. She was a noble. She had this husband and this baby son, and an Aes Sedai came up to her after having a foretelling being like, you need to leave everything. You have to go into the land of savages, become one of them, become impregnated by one of them, and fight a war and deliver the savior of mankind. Like,
so who is this?
Tigraine Damodred. Well, Tigraine Damodred is Rand's mom. And
okay, but why was this not like? Why was this something she kept to herself?
She couldn't tell anybody what happened to her, so she just left.
No, but I'm sorry. The prophecy, like she was the only one who knew the prophecy, and
yeah, I think it was Guitar. I think it was the same one that told Moiraine what she saw. Something like the fate of the world exists. Like you have to do this, and the fate of the world rests on it. Like the fate of the world.
Okay.
And so she left her beautiful baby boy, her husband, her life of nobility, to live among absolute savages who brutalized her, trained her, like blah blah blah. Like,
a lot of holes
she
in that,
went
that
through
prophecy.
so
It just
much.
seems a bit, Yeah.
I'm not getting it exactly right, and I'm sure you folks will correct me. But just what Tigraine went through to deliver Rand, I was just moved by it. And that's it. And so I liked the scene, but it wasn't perfect.
Good.
Yeah.
It was well choreographed.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Cool. It was cool.
she was... Wow.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
I was going to say cool.
Okay. You sure we're going to say?
I was not going to say badass. The ultimate generic term for woman kicking butt.
Badass. Good. Glad you enjoyed that.
It was very cathartic. I don't know if you felt like had to vent.
Yeah, well.
Vent in the comments. We genuinely thrive on the comments and want to know if you agree, disagree, whatever. So.
Definitely would like to hear some more positives too.
Yeah, like and subscribe because I'm sure the next episode won't be negative.
Too much writing on it, yeah.
Yeah.
Too much writing on it.
Yeah.
So I can imagine a lot of scenarios where this one, if the Matt thing is that, like, who the heck knows, and I don't necessarily need to know, but there was probably some scrambling that had to happen.
I think there was rewriting and possibly panic.
Rushing and whatnot. Yeah. All right.
All right. Thank you. And
you have fancy closing?
I don't have a fancy closing prepared.
A lot of fancy clothing.
This is like my green Aja doing business jacket. No fancy closing today. I'm still really shaken by the episode. Straight up shooken. Good night.